Hello, team. Um, Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Yes, so today I'll be discussing a very popular topic amongst traders. Yeah, so this is a common thing out there, market psychology, and a lot of people have read books, you know. And still made the same mistakes. A lot of people had mentors, and having a mentor, having a very good and successful mentor might not really be something that will help everyone in this particular aspect, because it all boils down to how you handle yourself and discipline. And controlling emotions in trading is something that calls for intense discipline. Controlling your emotions generally in life is a very disciplined aspect of life. Because you have to be disciplined yourself before you can control emotions, before you can tell yourself, okay, I'm not doing this, and you're not going to do it. Everything boils down to discipline. Discipline is the core to this. But it's funny how people do not realize that in trading, to build discipline in trading, you don't just... Let me put it like this. It's funny how people don't realize that to build discipline in trading, you have to build discipline in your external life. It's funny. Yeah, it might not correlate to a lot of people, but that's why, of course, 99% of traders fail and they have psychological problems, because they don't know this. You have to build discipline from your external life, in order for you to master discipline itself in trading. Yeah. So, if you've ever revenged trade, maybe you revenge traded before, panicked during trade, or you closed early, and or you just felt nervous during trade, something is triggering that, and it is as a result of your lack of discipline. So trust me, I've been there, and most traders never talk about it. But emotional control is more important than strategy. Yes, you might have... See, let me tell you something. Why do you think a trader would have a strategy and then probably sell it to someone else? A profitable strategy that works for him, or works very well for him, probably has maybe 60% win rate, maybe like 1 to 4 risk to reward ratio, and maybe occurs frequently, and sells it to the other person, for example, and the other person could not handle the strategy, probably could not use the strategy, was using the strategy but wasn't profitable like the first person. It all boils down to the psychological aspect and emotional control, because the other person understands the strategy very well, probably on a psychological level, because why? He has backtested that strategy by himself. He understands how that strategy works. He understands the session the strategy works best. He understands the kind of setups that play out the most. He understands, the situations where he should be in the market and when he shouldn't be in the market. All these things are affecting a psychological, aspect as a trader, and it builds his emotional control, because now he knows that, oh, this strategy, I tested it out of probably, let's say, out of 500 trades, let's say out of 500 or 1,000 trades, the average runtime of these setups every time is like maybe 70%, and the average run time is around maybe 10 hours. 70% of the setup run about maybe 10 hours before the trade closes, either at stop loss or break even or TP. Now he knows that all he has to do is to give this setup 10 hours before he starts feeling some sort of psychological effect or feeling bothered about the trade. You understand? So he knows how long he needs to wait based on the backtested result that he has had in the past. So he understands this strategy better. But the new person that was given this strategy might not really understand the strategy from this aspect. Might just say, okay, it might just be sold to the strategy probably for $2,000, and the new person that has the strategy is trading it, doesn't really understand these things in details. And even if he has been told about these things, he still wouldn't have that psychological control because it's not the one that does it. See, this is why so many traders will get a strategy from someone, a working strategy, and still won't be profitable because they don't understand the strategy. They just don't understand it like the actual person does. I've actually found myself in this position before, and that's why I'm talking about it. So the thing is, emotions ruin a lot of trade. And why emotions ruin a lot of trade is, the fear of, I can list about 4. The fear makes you miss good trades. You understand? The emotional trauma you go through, it makes you miss good trades. Greed makes you overtrade or skip trades. You understand? Or even skip stop loss. So when you have emotional imbalances, it makes you see a setup, and even when that setup is more like, okay, this is my A+ setup, you just have doubts about it. You never know when it's going to play out, and you get. So greed makes you overtrade. When you feel greed, it makes you overtrade. You are holding a trade for too long. You don't know when to actually close the trade. Then you hold the trade from New York session where you have more volatility down to Asian session when traders, big block traders, the institutional traders are closing off. Then you get stuck or you get a huge reversal and you wonder why. No. So, and these things leads to frustration, which is another point. Frustration causes revenge trading, because now when you've had, for example, you're in profit $2,000 plus, and then during this Asian session, for example, like I said, you had a reversal happened and you lost like 70-80% of your profits. Then you now decide, oh no, I need to make that profit back. Or even worse, you probably took a trade and you made a loss, and now you thought about, what can I do? I need to get that money that I lost back. No, so trading is not a get rich quick scheme, and anybody that wants to see it that way, I wish you good luck, but that's not it. You need to have a clear plan. Another reason why emotions can ruin trade is, doubts. It builds doubts in you and it kills good setups. Just like the first one I said, making fear. You understand? So I've had experiences. My first time trading, I made about 2,000. I made about, I think, $800. I turned $100 to about $800, and I lost it all. I lost everything all in a day. I made $100. I turned $100 to $800 in about 4 days. 4 days, yeah, I'd say 4 days. But what I didn't know was, proper knowledge. I over risked. and I over leveraged, and it made me a lot of money in 4 days. Probably because the market was just going smoothly. I traded a range bound market and it was just going sideways, and I was just selling from the top and buying from the bottom, and it just went well, like very well, and before you know, and that was it. So, but now I realized that over leveraging, over trading, a kills trade, it just ruins everything. You don't want to find yourself, because it builds these emotions that you are not ready for. Because at the time when I started losing that money, like I lost the money completely. I lost it all. My first trade was bad. I made about maybe $50 loss from my $800. I was like, okay, it's part of it. Then I made about $200 loss the next trade. Then I was really worried. I was trying to get that $250 back. Then that was it. That was how the mess started.